Throughout this entire journey, they have realized that what they see in themselves is not the strong, independent person they once believed they were, but someone deeply afraid, someone who gave up something invaluable in the name of ego and self-protection. The mirror of their own absence has revealed exactly what they lost when they allowed you to walk away. And that realization has become so overwhelming that staying distant now feels more painful than the possibility of reaching out, more difficult than any rejection they might face. If they choose to be honest, they would admit that they have been suffocating beneath layers of forced composure. This breaking point is not a failure, but the first real display of strength they have shown throughout this entire situation, because it requires far more courage to dismantle your own defenses than to keep them in place indefinitely, especially when they go against what your heart already knows. They are getting ready to do something that frightens them more than their silence ever did, and the internal shift happening within them is the necessary unraveling that often comes before any genuine renewal. They are building up the courage for something significant, something far beyond simple text messages or subtle social media signals meant to test the waters without putting their ego at stake. What they are preparing is not a small hint, but a genuine offering, not a vague attempt, but a clear statement that will require them to stand openly in the truth they have been avoiding, hiding, and running from since this connection first awakened something they were not prepared to handle. You need to understand that the step they are gathering the strength to take is completely unlike the version of themselves they have shown you so far. It is a major shift from the protective habits they have displayed until now, and when it finally happens, it will be unmistakable proof that something fundamental has changed within them, something that shows what they are now willing to risk for what they recognize deep within as real. This is not about them slipping back into your life with vague intentions or calculated distance that keeps an easy escape route open. This is about them returning in a way that eliminates every path back to emotional detachment. It reflects a full commitment to the vulnerability of being seen in their need, regret, longing, and in the clear understanding that leaving you was the biggest mistake in a journey marked by choices they wish they could undo. They are practicing words in their mind, words they have never expressed out loud. These words unsettle them because, once spoken, they cannot be disguised, softened, or taken back. They represent a complete release of the illusion that they were ever fine without you, ever steady in your absence, or anything other than affected by what they damaged when they chose pride instead of presence. Carl Jung once said that when two personalities meet, it is like two chemical substances coming into contact. If there is any reaction, both are changed. They are finally allowing themselves to recognize that you changed them. That the connection between your two energies created something they cannot recreate or replace with anyone else. And this realization is what is pushing them toward a step that may seem unreasonable to anyone outside this dynamic, yet will make complete sense to you when you feel the authenticity behind their words. This action will require them to be entirely vulnerable, fully honest, and genuinely willing to face any response you choose from a place of your own strength, clarity, and healing. There is always a catalyst, an exact moment when the structure of denial breaks and reality forces its way through with such intensity that holding on to comfortable illusions becomes impossible, even for someone deeply committed to avoiding the truth. For this person, that moment arrived recently in a way that broke apart the story they had built about being fine, being past it, and being able to move on as if you were just another chapter they could close and store away in their emotional history. They saw you moving forward, or at least appearing to, and the fear that washed over them was so intense, so instinctive, and so consuming that it cut through every mental defense and hit the deepest part of them that knows losing you for good is something they cannot handle while keeping any true sense of themselves intact. Or perhaps it wasn't your progress, but their own decline that triggered this turning point. their personal descent into a difficult inner space where they had to face the emptiness created when they chose comfort over genuine connection. They reached their lowest point and found not the relief they imagined, but the hollow silence of a life built around avoiding the vulnerability that gives life meaning. In that darkness, they finally accepted the truth they had been resisting from the start, that you are not replaceable, not forgettable, and not someone they can simply move on from as if this connection were ordinary, superficial, or anything less than the deeper recognition that has always existed beneath their attempts to shrink it into something manageable. This catalyst moment, whether triggered by seeing your independence or by facing their own emotional collapse, opened something in them that cannot be closed again. The timing is aligned, not because the universe follows anyone's preferred schedule, but because awareness requires the right conditions for a breakthrough. And those conditions have finally come together in a way that makes continuing to resist more painful than the fear of being vulnerable. They are being moved by forces they cannot fully explain toward action they can no longer avoid. And this momentum is guiding them straight toward the point where they must risk everything they have been protecting to regain what they know they lost. Jung described the shadow as the part of ourselves we reject, deny, and place onto others because we struggle to acknowledge it within our own mind. And this person has been locked in an unconscious struggle with their shadow, one that could not be escaped or bypassed if true transformation was ever going to happen. They had to face their inner struggles before facing you. They needed to confront the parts of themselves they considered unacceptable, shameful, or unlovable, and recognize that these rejected pieces were exactly what pushed them away from love when love first appeared without conditions or demands. You cannot meet love with an unhealed heart, nor can you enter a genuine connection while carrying unexamined wounds that guide your behavior from the hidden layers of unconscious patterns. They are learning, in real time, what it means to integrate what was divided, acknowledge what was denied, and accept what was feared. This shadow work is neither neat nor straightforward, nor does it unfold on a convenient timeline that respects your patience or their pride. It is difficult, confusing, and strips away every familiar identity they used to protect themselves from their own pain, longing, and fear of being fully seen and rejected for who they truly are. They have had to sit with their abandonment patterns, their emotional distance, their need for control, and their fear of surrender. And by facing the parts of themselves they once disowned, they have begun the internal process of transforming lead into gold, shadow into understanding, and fragmentation into wholeness. The person preparing to reach out to you now is no longer the same individual who walked away. They have let go of who they once were and are stepping into who they can become when they stop avoiding their own emotional depth. Subscribe to follow this journey as it unfolds, because what you are witnessing is not just a potential relationship repair, but a genuine inner transformation, from guarded to open, from divided to whole, from fear driven to aligned with love. This initiation had to take place internally before anything meaningful could appear outwardly, and it is nearly complete. It may come as a handwritten letter, words chosen with care and rewritten many times because they understand they have one opportunity to express what they finally have the courage to admit. It may come as a call at an unexpected time when their determination is strong and their defenses relaxed. Their voice may carry the subtle tremor of someone standing at the edge of what they fear yet choosing to step forward into the uncertainty of full honesty. Or it may show up as them appearing in person at a place where they know you will be. Their physical presence becoming a clear statement that they are willing to feel discomfort, willing to be vulnerable, and willing to risk both public discomfort and private rejection, if that is what sharing their truth requires in this moment. Whatever form it takes, you will recognize it instantly by the energy that comes with genuine vulnerability rather than strategic behavior. These will be words they have never spoken to you before, words that require effort and honesty because they reveal needs they were taught to hide, emotions they were conditioned to suppress, and desires they learned early to dismiss to appear self-sufficient and emotionally independent. In their message, you will not hear someone casually testing the waters, but someone fully engaging with the depth they once refused to acknowledge. And the difference will be unmistakable, so clear, so evident, so direct, that any uncertainty you once had about their intentions will disappear in the presence of this straightforward expression. An apology that does not deflect or downplay, but fully owns the pain their choices caused. A confession that does not hide behind generalities, but clearly states what they feel, what they want, and what they now admit they cannot live without. A plea that does not demand or pressure, but simply reveals the truth of their inner experience and leaves the choice entirely in your hands. This is what is coming toward you now, carried by their transformation and arriving at the precise moment when timing and readiness align. Nothing about it will be small, safe, or designed to shield them from the consequences of being fully visible in their need for you. Understand that this is not a casual gesture, a breadcrumb tossed to see if you remain interested, available, or willing to settle for fragments of their attention. This is the full offering, the complete harvest. Every resource they have held back in the defenses of their heart is now laid before you, with full awareness that you may reject it, walk away, or tell them that it has come too late and that you have already planted new seeds elsewhere. The risk they are taking is total, because it requires the complete dismantling of every protective barrier they have built. The complete release of the control they once held to protect themselves from the intimacy they now seek, an urgency born not of neediness, but of clear understanding of what truly matters in a meaningful life. They know they might lose everything, and they move forward anyway, because remaining trapped in their own fear has become more painful than the possibility of your rejection. They are risking their pride, the fragile ego that long convinced them that vulnerability equals weakness, and that needing someone is a failure rather than one of the most human and sacred experiences. They are also letting go of the familiar story they told themselves about why this connection could not succeed. The story they told themselves and others to justify walking away. Admitting they were wrong demands a level of humility that does not come easily to someone who has spent years mastering emotional self-protection. They are risking the judgment of everyone who saw them leave and will now witness their return, risking being seen as inconsistent, confused, or weak, when in truth they are showing something very different. The strength to acknowledge a mistake, the courage to choose love over image, the wisdom to realize that being right means nothing if it costs everything that gives life meaning. This is fear and courage existing together in the same moment, the same body, the same decision to reach for what they know is real despite every logical reason to protect themselves from potential pain. Carl Jung taught that the greatest privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This person is claiming that privilege by allowing their true self, the one that loves you, needs you, and chooses you, to emerge from beneath the false self that tried to convince everyone, including themselves, that they were fine in your absence. Real change is shown through consistent action, not just words carefully crafted to bypass your defenses and gain access to your energy without true transformation on their part. You will recognize this as genuine, not just because they speak the right words, though their words will carry weight when spoken from an integrated, sincere place rather than a manipulative one, but because what comes after their initial outreach demonstrates consistency, showing up, following through, and proving through actions over time that the internal changes they claim are not temporary adjustments to win you back, but lasting transformations in how they move through life and prioritize what truly matters to their soul. Pay attention to the energy beneath their communication. Does it aim to take from you or to offer to you? Does it demand immediate forgiveness or respect your need for time and space to determine if this is safe? Does it focus on their comfort or honor your sovereignty to choose what serves your highest good, even if that choice comes at a cost to them? True change shows itself through humility, patience, and the willingness to do whatever is required to rebuild trust. without assuming automatic acceptance just because they now acknowledge what was always true. It is reflected in their ability to sit with your anger. If anger is what you feel, honor your uncertainty. If you need boundaries, take them without being rushed past your natural emotional responses, because their discomfort with your process is not more important than your right to feel everything necessary about what they put you through. Real transformation means they no longer need you to manage their emotions or protect their ego. They no longer expect you to make things easy for them when their absence was never easy for you. They no longer assume you will greet them with open arms after they prioritized fear over connection. Share this if you are waiting for authenticity. Your discernment is the sacred guardian that protects your energy from those who use spiritual language to manipulate rather than embody spiritual principles through consistent actions over time. You are not obligated to accept their offering, required to forgive their past, or responsible for making their growth easier by immediately granting access to your heart before you have the time and evidence to see whether their change is real or merely a temporary adjustment will fade once they feel secure in your presence again. You are allowed to say, "Not yet." Allowed to say, "I need more time to see if their actions match their words." Allowed to say, "I need space to feel whether my soul truly wants this reunion, or if my mind is simply romanticizing something that was never as healthy as I hoped." You are allowed to say, "Not ever." Allowed to recognize that sometimes love is not enough when behavioral patterns have caused damage that cannot be fully repaired, even with sincere intentions and apologies. You are allowed to choose your own peace over their path to redemption, if that is what your inner knowing tells you best protects your well-being. But you are also allowed to forgive and try again if forgiveness feels authentic rather than pressured, if trying again comes from genuine desire rather than fear of being alone or worry about regret. You are allowed to trust in their transformation if the evidence supports it. Allowed to open your heart if doing so feels expansive rather than constrictive. Allowed to accept what they offer if it aligns with your highest path and supports your growth, rather than simply easing loneliness or satisfying the ego's need to be chosen after rejection. Both responses are valid because you are the sovereign authority in your own life. Only you can determine what is right for your journey. No one outside your own soul can dictate whether choosing them or letting them go leads you toward the fullest expression of who you came here to become. This moment is not about them, their needs, or their timeline for resolution. This moment is about you claiming your power to decide what you allow into your sacred space and what you choose to keep outside, with love but firmness. This is not years away, not some distant possibility that exists only in hopeful fantasy while you wait indefinitely for movement that may never come. This is near, so near that if you notice the subtle shifts in energy around you, the growing synchronicities, and the way thoughts of them have intensified despite your attempts to focus elsewhere, you will see the momentum is already underway. What remains is simply the final closing of the gap between intention and manifestation. Pay attention in the coming days and weeks for signs that confirm what you already know in the part of you that doesn't need logical proof. Repeated numbers appearing when you think of them, unexpected references to things meaningful to your connection, dreams that feel more like visitations than random neural activity, and sudden urges to be in a certain place at a specific time for reasons you cannot fully explain but must follow. When you notice the signs, when you sense the energetic alignment of divine timing bringing together all the pieces that had to be in place before this could appear in the physical realm, you will know it is time to prepare yourself, not by rehearsing what you will say or do, but by grounding yourself in the clarity of who you are, what you deserve, and what you will and will not accept, no matter how much you have longed for this moment. The collective unconscious, which Jung described as the shared reservoir of human experience and archetypal patterns, is activating the ancient template of the lover's return, the prodigal homecoming, the sacred reunion that occurs when two souls have completed the necessary work in separation and are ready to come together from a more conscious, evolved place than was possible before. The unexpected is arriving, not according to your timeline or theirs, but according to the divine orchestration that governs all things when we surrender control and trust the intelligence that flows through life. Are you ready to receive it? To meet what comes with the full presence of your healed and sovereign self? To hold space for whatever unfolds next with grace, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to your own truth.